Hello and welcome to another very interesting video. This video is all about how we all create our routines when we're performing magic. So we've got Tom here, who is my favorite magician. Sorry, Paul. And well, actually, he's Paul's favorite magician too. We've got Paul, who's a regular on the channel. Come on, everyone knows Paul. And before we start, I do want to say we've got a lovely message, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well,
he got
okay. So I'll let Paul read this out to you. This is with Eduardo.
So Eduardo Gasper. Hello, Brendan. Wow, I love these skills. Every time I see them, I am transported to a very beautiful dimension full of art and beauty. You put elegance in your movements, and that brings us to this exotic world of sleight of hand arts. My observance is this magnificent art, and congratulations on your thoroughness in expressing it to us. Thanks to tutorial. Just so you know, guys, that's on his ball manipulation tutorial.
Yeah. Thank you, Eduardo.
Nice?
That's such a lovely comment. Message. It's always good to hear. You know, I keep telling people comment on the videos, and it's genuinely lovely to hear these wonderful comments. So thank you, Eduardo, for that. So let's get into the video. When it comes to routining, Tom, you do a lot of kids parties, don't you? More than adults, but you also do close-up.
Oh yes, I do more kids than adults, but I do adults and I do older children, and I find it's a big learning curve. Children are very honest.
Yeah.
And it's you know, I learned most of my kids magic because we don't see other people do kids magic. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So you don't, or I didn't learn from anybody. I basically learned it by. Can I say falling on my ass or
whatever you could?
Whatever you want to expression you use by
suppose that's not politically correct.
You think you've got a good set,
right?
You don't on purpose just go, but you realise that bit was too boring, or you spent too much time on that trick, or that didn't work. So you scrub those three out, put something else. Oh, that's a bit better, but then there's a problem here, and so my first efforts were awful, really. I think pretty bad. Although I didn't think they were awful before I was going to do it. I didn't, but I realise now, and so you learn by going wrong, and even with close-up, even if you've seen a lot of close-up, you still learn by failure. I'm a fan of failure because you learn so much from the thing that went wrong. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. Doing close-up, because that's probably of more interest to people watching.
I think there's a lot of kids' performance dreams.
I remember, I had some what I thought were quite good close-up tricks, and but suppose you're booked for 2 hours and there may be not that many people there, and I went up and I did a trick. And so they said, "Oh yes, thank you very much. Very good. Thank you for coming up." And I realised, my God, if it all goes like this, I'm going to be finished in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I realised that's not the way to do it, because I could climb back in and say, "Oh, I've got another one," but that would have sounded a bit desperate.
Yeah.
So now I know, "Oh, I've got one for you." Or, I don't give them a chance to thank me so that I can spin it out.
Yes.
And I now know what I'm doing and which order. So I go from that to this. Well, I think you might quite like this one, because I think
that's the order that interests me. So this is something that Brendan spoke about on this channel. Was you talk about your A set. And
So I think a lot of people have asked me this about when you do your routines. Now I'm going to brush through really quickly. So I've got multiple sets. That means I've created my sets according to the effects. So the first thing is I start off with something visually artistic. So in the number one set, it is probably the crystal ball. That looks beautiful. It's not magical. So it's all the finger, the artistic. You've seen it. If you're watching this channel, I'm sure you know. Don't drop that glass now. We're getting in trouble. But yeah, that's basically what I do. And then the second effect is the digital dexterity. So it's either the elastic bands or the ring in the second set. Yeah, well, that too. That's part of my ring routine, actually. I do the hand thing coming through. So that's my ring routine. And then I have visual eye candy, which is the siltrophone or paper to money. And then I end with something happens that India has, like a double cross or a sponge hearts and that sort of thing. So that's usually my sets. But
that's not how I do it.
That's not how you do it. So let's find out. I mean, I'm sure you all know what I do, but let's find out what Paul and then Tom does in terms of sets when it comes to performing for kids. So let's start with Paul first.
Well, see, it's interesting because you were saying about, and I've got something for you, I've got something here. Now, do you just have the set order in your head and you just point to someone randomly, or do you?
Well, I think I have to say it's important to be
this-
very flexible. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing one trick if you feel they're not interested, or they're having sometimes they're having a private conversation and they're being kind by letting you interrupt, and you can sense that. It's good to be aware of people and not to force, right, I've got this set and I'm going to do this bloody set if it kills. You've got to, I think, or thank you very much, sorry to interrupt, and then if you feel that's appropriate. On the other hand, if it's going well and people are enjoying it, and also we've got to know ourselves. I mean, I love watching, for instance, Brendan and David Stone. They've got a similar sort of artistic, and it's beautiful to watch. But if an old balding slapper like me
you just compared me to David Stone. Wow.
Well, it's true because you've both got this sort of, it's like a ballet dancer. It's like, it's beauty. But it wouldn't work for an old boy like, I go down and get something behind my knee and they're going to wonder if he's going to get up again. And it's not going to go, and it's not
to be honest, as you went there, I thought maybe I had to
it's
catch
true
you.
because it's like some people can wear tails, and some people it would,
Speaking of tails, look at this.
And so we've got to know ourselves and what works for each of us. So that's why I think lecturing, I think talking about magic is actually quite difficult because we're all such different people. It's a very personal.
This is it. So when I started, Brendan was really helpful to me. Brendan's the guy who helped me start getting professional gigs straight away. Originally, and I was very drilled into, I could get my A set and then my B set and stuff and work on the C set is kind of, oh my goodness. And that was wonderful, but since then I've kind of developed a slightly more fluid style. Good. So now when I go over, I'll have, I'll open with, the line I actually have is, what do you want to see? Do you want to see some card magic, some rope magic, something old fashioned that nobody does?
Okay, I do the same thing, but I've got my set. But yeah, go ahead.
No, because these into sets.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't. So what's funny is I will then use whatever they say. It doesn't really matter. If they say cards, do you want something weird or do you want something some classy? So I prefer the slightly weird stuff, but the classy. And but then from that point onwards, if they ask for a rope or old-fashioned, I'm going to go into a routine that I've worked hard on, either my rope routine or a silk handkerchief routine that I adore performing. But if they ask for cards, you get way more flexibility because we all know a multitude of card tricks, and you should know card tricks that can just fly. Cards is probably the most common thing I get asked for, by the way. People love cards. I shouldn't bang, that's not regret. People love cards. I'm not quite sure why, actually, because I like watching them, but there's other stuff I prefer. But I think when people think of magicians, they think of cards. So it's always good to have a few, unless you're this guy, but even you do a few.
I always have a few, because when I go up to them and say, hey, what do you want to see? Now, my question to the audience is slightly different, because I say, what do you want to see? Something artistic and beautiful, something with technical skill.
So you go thematic, whereas I go...
But then I say, do you want to see something visually stunning, mentalism, or do you want to see a bit of everything? 90% they're going to say, we'll see a bit of everything.
Well, no, absolutely. But with me, they do anyway.
Right.
This is what. So I'll ask them that question, but that's just so I can.
I still have my sets. But if they say mentalism or something, I have a backup set. I know I can take out of my pockets whatever I need to do that mentalism set. I will do 3 or 4 or 5 different effects of mentalism, which is great when it's a multiple table venue, because the next table sees me do something so different.
I still have no idea how you knew I was thinking about grey elephants in Denmark. That just destroyed me. The man was in my mind. He was in. But no. So when I ask that question, I know that if they like my magic, I'll probably. If they say ropes, and I'll probably still up doing stilts. But I try not to because of time as well. When you're table hopping, by the way, professionally, time is so important. And that affects my sets probably more than anything else. If I'm working at a restaurant and it is dead, and the people are enjoying my magic, they'll have me for a while. If on the other hand, restaurant or bar's more likely, and it is just packed, you want to get your stuff done.
I just do my crystal. To answer what Tom said earlier about the sets, sometimes, and judging your audience, is when I do a table and I realize they don't care about it, I'll do my crystal ball, let's say I start with that. I go straight into maybe changing paper and money, and that's it. Thank you. There's my card. Walk away. Right? Yeah. So I don't. You have to judge your audience. Yeah. But let's talk about Tom's kids entertainment. When it comes to kids parties, you have a fixed set. Do you do, or do you wing it?
I've got a general fixed set.
Okay.
But then, for instance, because children change the ages, it's unbelievable. sucker tricks don't work for 3 or 4 year olds.
Right, yeah.
They don't. You put something, change it round behind your back, and a few of them will think it's quite a good trick.
Yeah, I know.
But so as they get older, so I have if it's I have no good, by the way, at 2 year old, 3, but from say 3 or 4, I'll take some of my older tricks out and put in some younger ones. But I've got a general sort of framework of stuff.
When you do
I
that, this is more parlour though, isn't it, really, for that?
They're all sitting down. I get them because I don't drive, so I have to carry stuff.
Right.
So I don't take big microphones and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm unusual in that. Most of the kids' entertainers have a big sound system. So I just get the kids up, even if I'm at a bigger function, and I explain before I take the gig on that that's how it's going to be. So if they want someone with a microphone,
can I just say one thing really quickly? If you're hiring a children's magician,
well,
I'm just thinking of all the people that you had perform with the kids, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, did you know who you actually who was performing?
No, but
also, if you hire him, get him to do some magic for you afterwards.
No, but what I do, which might be interesting because it's very much relevant to what you're talking about, is to train them to look at me. So I've got about 5 quick things.
Okay.
That's clever.
5 or so quick. 5 or 6 quick things where they have to watch me because it's going quickly. So I say I'm going to start with a trick I'm not going to be doing, and it's the bendy flower, and I take her hair, and then if they're grown-ups, and then the tie, my tie goes up like this. Another hair from my head.
Oh God, I really want to see Tom show.
If I've got, then what happens when you take 2 hairs and I pick up 2 flowers and the 2 flowers bend in that direction? And then I said, we're not going to do that. There's always a kid who says, but you've just done it. And I say, no, the reason we're not going to do it is I keep taking hairs from my head. I'm taking my hat off. So the adults are beginning to laugh. And then I said, but we are going to do the Alfred birthday trick, and you need a striped handkerchief, then I'll produce a striped candle from it. And then some of you are going to say, but I haven't got a striped handkerchief. So I said, but it will work with a red one, you produce a red. And then I quickly say, because this is my big failing when I started, was that if there are pauses too much between, the kids will start to wander. So I quit. But who believes in ghosts? Hands up those who believe in ghosts. And then I've got 3 ghost tricks. Right. A ghost under a handkerchief, where the ghost goes on holiday and a light bulb light. So I've got 2 or 3 ghost tricks. So I'm training them to be fast, funny, and looking at me. And then after that, I've sort of because this control business with kids, it can be. They're there at a party. They've got to do. It's your job to make sure that as many of them as possible are looking at you. Then after that, things can take. And then I start having them up. And who would like to? Oh, we need. And I won't go into the whole thing, but basically, the first bit is training them to look at me. Otherwise, they'll miss it.
So,
if there's too much talking, too much
you go straight.
And funnily enough, I've even found with adult shows.
I was about to say, but that's the same thing with close-up. So Faye Presto, famously her opener, Flame, boom, training them to look at her. My thing is conversation. I talk to them, and the first thing I do is big. So the whole table will see me do something, training them to look at me. I'm the focus.
Subconsciously, we all do it. I do the crystal ball thing, which is all I do is I go to the table and start doing this. Everyone's looking at me. Pull us on. So
you see, I'm well aware. I don't know if you've been out not as a magician, but you've been having a meal with friends, and somebody comes up to want to sell a rose or something, and you're just getting to the punchline of your joke. Yeah. Oh no! Or the waiter comes up. Yeah. You're just telling us a really good story, or somebody is. And can I take your order? And it kills that. You're approaching somebody sort of uninvited, and
that's a good point.
That's absolutely right.
And the hardest job I ever had was, forgive me if you're an Irish builder, because they were lovely, but they're tough. They wanted to drink. It was for Murphy's, and I used to do it every Christmas time they had their function. They went straight up to the bar before they sat down, and they were tough. And the first year, it was really difficult because they wanted to take the mick out of her, and it was difficult. And I learned that by going up and saying, shaking their hand first before I started, got them on my side. It's like, we must be a mate, or of course I wasn't a mate. I was the stranger. Oh, how are you? But it's like they thought they should know me, or they were, and suddenly they were a bit more on my side. And
Just going to take some notes, if that's okay.
and if you hold your hand out like that, someone's going to put their hand
Oh,
out
yeah,
to take
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It was
It's natural.
conditioned to it. And once that's been established, because people don't do that if you're going to knife them in the back, do they? They don't do that if they're going to. So I go up, and then start, and it was 100% better for me doing that. So you learn by not doing it and getting egg on your face.
So there's the same thing that I will do with I always get names. I always forget names because I'm a monster. But that is only because I want to shake my hand and there's a contact. And you must find that quite hard considering your act, because your act is not. So Tom and I are relatively chatty as performers, you know.
I don't chat much, yeah.
So is that maybe something? I'd say advantage. But you know what I mean by advantage.
I know what you mean. I think I suffer from that. So I'm going to tell you a little story about when I perform. Now, when I perform Aquam, it's a club that I do in Clapham every Friday nights. I'm out there, and I don't speak at all. So I'm in the bar in noisy club with my ball. All I do is I do that, I walk up to people, I say, you know, they put their hand, before they know it, I'm into my routine, I do my set, and I walk away in like a minute, 2 minutes. I don't go a long set. If they're liking it, I'll stay along, but the whole act, I don't say a single word. So I just go up to people and go, and I do my bit. I don't say a single word. So there's they don't even know how I sound like. They don't, there's this massive, exactly, massive mystery. Who is this guy? What does he do here? They don't know whether they need to tip me. I don't even bother with tips because I you know, when they look at me, they just watch, and I do my thing. And before I give my, sometimes I don't bother give my cards, and I walk away. But there's a smoking area outside. That's where I build the rapport. Because I'm outside now. These people that I've just performed to, they're standing outside the smoking area. I don't smoke, by the way. I just go outside to, you know, I say fresh air, but you know, it's an open air area, and I'm chatting with them, and I go up to them and say, "Did you enjoy the magic?" And they're like, "Wow, this guy speaks." Sometimes they think this guy doesn't even speak. So that's when I give my card.
So with your magic, and I think there is a danger, and you don't do this by the way, but you can come across as possibly not arrogant, but just the coolest kid in the room. I'm always really careful not to be the coolest kid in the room. I think it's really important as a magician that we don't. There's that line, Marcus, another magician he interviewed, reminded me of this line from Now You See Me, which is, the magician's the smartest guy in the room. You don't want your audience thinking about that because that makes you incredibly unlikable.
I suffer from that.
But I remember watching you, I think it was possibly when you were starting to play around with the entirely silent act, and it was back at Cafe de Carré, and you did this, and then you went into your coin and pen routine, but it was almost like watching Chaplin, the way he was moving, and the presentation was like, it was
not comic-y.
It was because Brendan, you certainly wouldn't know it from listening to these things, but the guy's actually got a good sense of humour. You're a funny guy. But watching you perform that night, I was just like, oh my! There was a whole new dimension to you, and you were incredibly just likable and affable. Just the same coin pen routine that we know really well.
I should
he was
smile
performing in a certain way. It was just like. It was almost like a little slight pantomime to it.
Actually, I don't do that anymore.
You know what? If you went along with Tom to one of his children's parties, that would kill. That would be amazing.
I gotta come down to I gotta film you do your parties.
Oh man!
Would you like to see Tom's?
If you want to see Tom's party, comment below.
Comment below, and then I'll take my camera to Tom.
I'm sure. I mean, you know, it's no better than anybody else's. It's just different because we don't see each other, so you know it's easy for close-up magicians. You see a magician do the Omni deck or something, and you see a great reaction. Oh, I'm going to do Omni deck. Or you see someone, and you see it. So we tend to. But to copy it, I went down to Covent Garden, and they not only did the same tricks but the same jokes.
Same jokes. Oh, they do those street magic.
You know, fair enough. They work and they learn from the. But with kids magicians, how many kids parties?
Well, no, I was about to ask. So there are certain classics. So you've got the colouring books, you've got Hilly Hop Bunnies, and you've got a few tricks, Bendy Wand, and you mentioned the thing, that are staples and have been since I was a child. And you can tell by this grizzled beard that was a long time ago. And so, obviously there's some things that work.
Oh, yes, I don't have original, I use all those things that you're talking about. But I've got a hope we all do, have different ways of presenting.
So this is what you're talking about.
I've seen some brilliant colouring trick, because now what's happening is, especially with the sites like Amaze Kids and things, you now see what's for sale and you see people performing. So, but when I was starting, it was not we weren't even. But so we had to do our own way. So my colouring book is a story when
I think that's on your colouring book. Yeah, it's just Egyptian hieroglyphs, isn't it? I mean, it's quite old. It's made of stone, but you know.
but I think with close-up, there's much. I mean, it's almost depressing to think that a lot of the close-up magicians will do the same. I mean, if you list them, Flying Ring, Omnideck, Ambitious Cut, and they're all great tricks. There's nothing wrong.
I think Ambitious is slightly different, because
I do Ambitious.
So we've got to be a little bit. I don't want to give anything away, but those first two you've named are pretty much a product, whereas an Ambitious routine is more. You can add your own flair, Brandon, and we all do it, but we will do it in a different way, and that's where. And
I haven't done it in months. I say months. I mean, it's a lot for me because I work pretty much every day. So, but I haven't done that in a long time.
What I'm saying is that I think those first two I agree, and then you can go through for other ones. I don't really want to start listing, but we know the tricks we're talking about.
No, we know them because we know they work.
They're so strong.
That's why.
But when you work in I was just come back from Birmingham. This is interesting. When I'm working in London, a lot of those people have seen magic already. A lot of the people, not. Maybe 30 to 40%. I was in Birmingham because I actually had a gig the weekend just gone, and I was chatting.
Sorry to cut you off there. By the way, if you want to see Paul's Birmingham video, it's on his YouTube channel. So I'm going to leave Paul's YouTube channel in the link below. Okay,
there's not a lot on there. When I was there, I was talking to just some of the staff as they were locking up, and they were saying, what do you do? And I was talking about doing magic at weddings and that, and then I never thought of getting magic at a wedding. What an amazing idea! And I was like, really? And I started talking to them, and actually, comment below on this one. Depending where you're in the country, the approach to magic is probably very different, because they didn't think about magic at a restaurant. Because basically, I suggested it. They had. The first 2 nights I was doing magic basically parlour. The third night they wanted me to do the same kind of thing, but because of the setup, I suggested they put me in the cafe and I could greet people as they were coming and do magic around basically table hopping. And the concept was just alien to them. And okay, if you think that'd be good, and it was, because that's where I'm most comfortable. That's where I work, and so. But afterwards, they couldn't believe that this had happened, and they were amazed at the reactions you were getting, and people just stopped talking and started watching you, and all the tables were watching. It's like, yes, because magic is spectacular, it's wonderful, and these were people who'd not seen magic before, which was incredibly lovely. And you could break out all these ones that we're talking about that I try not to do too many of because they are so common. I could have done all of them and then never have seen them. There's no chance of someone going, it's going to be under your hand or anything like that.
But do you change your tricks depending on who the group is in the restaurant?
100%.
For instance, if it's some young girls maybe.
Or
young.
I'm more likely to react to depending on how they react to my first trick will depend. So, can I get another story? Do you want to?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. So I get a lot of work, and they're often kind of like city boys there, and they're very challenging. They want to be very alpha male-y, and they'll do that kind of stuff where they've got your deck of cards and they'll say, okay, now pop it back, and they'll just jam it in wherever they want, and you're very patient. You have to explain to them.
We've all seen that.
Yeah, you have patience explain to them. It's like, you do realise this is magic trick. It's like, I'm not Gandalf. Magic isn't real. Maybe you didn't get that, but when I get that kind of thing, the next thing I'm going to do is I'll put that down and I'll do something spectacular that's going to mess with their mind. So it's not going to be sleight of hand card stuff. Yeah. I might do possibly one of the tricks that we talk about, or I've got my full back using true cards and links, and so that is so beyond their realm of understanding that they go, wow, okay, you got me on that one. No, fair play. I normally get a handshake and a tip, lovely, because I beaten them in their mind.
Right.
But
for me, I think it's very different because like Tom said, I don't change my routine. What I do is it depends on the venue, how busy it is. So if I know I have more time on that table, I'll take it slow. I'll do a lot more effects. But if it's a busy thing, I'm just a quick in and out. So I think when it comes to like younger people and older people, if I have people that are heckling me, that are trying, oh, I know where the pen is going or whatever, I won't do any of those kind of routines like Paul said. I will do something that I know is a sure shot, where they can't figure out how it's done. It's quick, it's maybe some of the mentalism stuff. I'll just do that and then walk away. So, but I think we've done with this video because it's pretty long. So if you
Brendan's just been told, by the way, how long videos on YouTube should be.
No, some of you do want to see longer videos, and I know you're going to watch this, and some of you are going to think, this is just way too long. But thank you for watching this. Thank you for spending the time listening to Tom, Paul, and myself.
Come to my next birthday party. Tom's going to be the magician. We're going to be sat down, and there's going to be flowers bending over. I'm not even joking. This is happening now.
So yeah,
we're going to do pass the parcel.
I would kill. Oh my god!
Let's say goodbye. So bye for now. But we're not going to tell you to do anything. But at the end is going to tell you something a little later. So watch that. See everyone. Bye bye. You know, I have a feeling that Paul's going to be chatting a lot. Yeah, I did have.
Let's speak a little higher.
And read
Is this already being broadcast? No.
Okay.
No, it's not film, right, Tom? It's digital these days. Don't use film anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so now. Oops.
Good timing.
Actually, that was
Perfect time.
Look at that as well.
Yes,
Everything
know.
about that was perfect.
Wow.
Loops or
So come back.
elastic thread.
We'll just get before we go. Just get a thumbnail. So let's do some
Have you got a
thumbnail.
signature pose?
Thumbnail. Okay.
That's
Done.
the thumbnail.
Perfect. That's the thumbnail. Okay.
So what a thumbnail, Tom, is like a small.
Hey, welcome to your Magic Circle. Now guys, listen to me, yeah? If you don't subscribe to my good friend channel, you know what's going to happen? You're all going to change to a frog. So change and subscribe, like, whatever you want. Brandon is the best magician in the world. Subscribe. I'll keep an eye on you, right?